Let's start what a spark can do.
T minus 10, 9, 8.
And countdown, ignition, and liftoff. This is music to my ears. I was very fortunate to live very close to Cape Canaveral in Florida and watch many of these shuttle launches in person, and I photographed and videographed them. And every time I was there, I used to sit there and reflect. Yes, there is the machine, there is a rocket, there is a software, and there is all the fuel, and then there are sensors. But behind the scenes, there is something else that triggers this mission. It is the dream of a few people who have come together to spark that ignition. And that spark is not just the physical spark, but that inspiration and the passion and the purpose for which thousands of engineers, scientists, and many more people come together to launch these missions. And that thirst for sending human into space and conquering furthest of the spaces in the universe. Now, when President Kennedy visited NASA in 1962, he was walking through the hallways and he met a person and he asked him, "What are you doing here?" And the person said, "I'm helping send human into the space." And later he came to know that actually this person is a janitor. Now, this is what is called the purpose. This is the spark with which everyone in an organization are working towards a common mission. So how do we find that spark within? How do we ignite that spark within? And for that, I'm going to take you through a Japanese word called ikigai. Ikigai is a reason for being, and it has 4 quadrants to it. So this is something that you really love to do, and then you're great at it, you're getting paid for it, and then the world needs it. So the 4 quadrants, okay? So in the next few moments, I would like each one of you to reflect on your ikigai. And the 4 questions that I would like to reflect are: what do you love about your work at Dr.Suman? What makes you good at that? Are you getting paid for it? Of course, we are getting paid for it, so we don't have to worry about that options. And why does the world need it? So your spark may not be the work you're currently doing at Dr.Suman. It could be a stepping stone towards your ultimate purpose in your life. So, for the next 1 minute, I would like you all to close your eyes and reflect in silence about the work that you're doing or the work you are really, really passionate about that you want to do in the future. So 1 minute of silence. Please close your eyes. So there's a rocket body, there's physical structure. There is a software which is making the decisions on a moment-to-moment basis how to navigate the rocket. There is a fuel, which is of course the power, energy for that rocket. And there are sensors, which are collecting the information, sending that information out to the software and making those decisions to navigate the rocket into the right space at the right time. And then of course, we discussed about the spark, the physical spark, and then the spark behind that is igniting that purpose and passion and all the people who are navigating this launch. Now, if you compare that with ourselves, we have this physical body, the physical body with which we perform our duties, with which we pursue our passions. So that's number 1, we need to focus on that. The mind with which we make decisions and navigate our life, the good, bad decisions that we make. And then we have the life force. Elder Sequelia, she was talking about that force, that life force, which is very important, which we don't pay much attention to. And then there is, of course, our 5 senses, which are constantly receiving that information from outside, processing it, sending it to the mind, and resulting in certain behaviors and actions. And of course, you all have already realized your spark and your purpose. So how do we do this? Of course, it starts with simple self-care activities on a day-to-day basis, which we all tend to forget a lot of times because we get so caught up in busy life. So the self-care is very important because that physical health is critical for you to continue your passion and purpose. And then that mental wellness, because that mental health leads to your happiness, and that happiness drives you further. And then the third one is what I call the radiating energy, which builds your relationships with people around you, which is very critical in pursuing your purpose and passion. That better together really is all about that harmony. So there are a few things that we can do in our day-to-day life to adopt physical well-being. Yoga, Tai Chi, biking, skiing, whatever twists, shakes, bends your body every day, taking those few moments on a day-to-day basis to give some exercise, give proper food, give some good rest for your body. Then of course we need to build that compassion which we have been talking about, the theme of the conference, gratitude and compassion. We all talk about showing compassion to others, love to others, and empathy to others, but it all needs to start with the self. It's like a flower. Without having fragrance within it, cannot spread the fragrance. So without compassion and love for yourself, you cannot spread that to others. So it's so important that we focus on building that self-compassion and self-love. We're going to practice all this in a couple of minutes right now. And then the other aspect is we talked about the life force. We eat food, of course, for the physical energy, but we are more than that physical being. And as Dr. Sequeli was talking about, there is that life force, there is that universal force and energy that is driving us forward, that is connecting us together here in this space. And breath is that connection. We often, take breath for granted. Without breath, of course, we cannot exist for more than a few minutes. You can last for, days without food and water, but breath is that critical source of energy which connects us with that life force. And we're going to practice a couple of breathing exercises. And then, of course, we got to regulate this mind, especially in this chaotic, highly distractive world. It is so important to be able to bring that mind to that stillness, to that silence, to that one-pointedness, so that we can focus on our mission and passion and purpose. And in this process, instead of lifting off like a rocket, we're actually going to be diving in. Instead of outer exploration, we're going to do some inner introspection. We're going to be diving into the sound of inner silence instead of that roaring thunder. The rocket has so much of turbulence when it lifts off. But for us to pursue our purpose, we need to dive into that inner stillness once in a while, at least once in a year. And then most importantly, instead of burning all that energy, there are methods where we can conserve that energy so that we can channel that in the right direction. So now we're going to take a couple of minutes to have a 5-minute practice of simple exercises, self-compassion, and some breathing and meditation. Are you all ready for that? Okay, fantastic. So what you have experienced right now, when you have gone beyond your physical body, going deeper into your organs, into your tissues, into your cells, into all the elements, atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, beyond that, there is emptiness. And according to the laws of quantum mechanics and theory of relativity, that emptiness is not simply empty. That nothingness, when you get rid of everything from your mind, is highly vibrating, infinite potential of energy, which you cannot measure with anything, which is beyond space and time. And we all are that infinite potential. In fact, Dr. Primack, who is an astrophysicist, he says that we are all luminous stardust beings. He wrote a fantastic book called View from the Center of the Universe. He says we are all recycled stardust beings, connected directly to the universe and with each other at a physical level through a system in our brain called mirror neurons, also called as empathy neurons. Right now, we are all different beings here, but truly, we are all one connected humanity. And I hope you take time to ignite that spark and connect with that infinite potential on a moment-to-moment basis. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
That's really so good.